I'm going to show you how to install the Google Nest Thermostat. The only tools you'll need are a flathead and a Phillips head screwdriver. You'll also need to download the Google Home app, create an account, and then navigate in the app to where you can set up a new device. And these installation procedures are just for the Google Nest Thermostat. They're not for the Thermostat E or for the Learning Thermostat. And before you even buy a Google Nest Thermostat, you want to make sure it's compatible with the wiring that's in your old thermostat. And you can do that by going online to the Google store. They have a compatibility checker. You'll have to take the cover off your thermostat and look at the wiring inside. And if your thermostat has stranded wires, or if your thermostat has thick stranded wires connected by wire nuts, or if your thermostat is labeled 110 volts or 120 volts, then it won't be compatible with a Nest thermostat. The first step before you even get started on the installation process is to turn off your furnace. And there's two ways you could possibly do that. A lot of furnaces just have a switch on the side that looks like a light switch. Just flip that to off and you're good. If you don't have that, just go to your breaker box and turn off the breaker that controls your furnace. One more thing you might consider when you're buying your Nest thermostat is whether you need a trim kit. The Google Nest itself is pretty small. It's only about 3¼ inches in diameter. So when I replace this with this, I know there's going to be an ugly unpainted space behind this old thermostat. That's where the trim kit comes in. When you buy the trim kit, you get a trim plate that looks like this that goes around the outside of the thermostat, and that'll cover up most blemishes or unpainted spots on the wall behind your old thermostat. So if you think you need the trim kit, be sure and buy that when you buy your thermostat. First, we're going to remove the cover off the old thermostat. And it's a good idea to take a picture of the current wiring setup, where the different colored wires are attached. Now we need to disconnect the wires from this old thermostat. Each connection on the terminal has a different letter by it. Mine has 4 wires, all different colors. The green wire goes to the terminal labeled G, yellow wire to the terminal labeled Y, white wire to the terminal labeled W, red wire to the terminal labeled RC. And there's a jumper right there between RC and RH. So I'm going to remove all these from this terminal. And on this thermostat, I do that by loosening the screw at the end of the terminal. Normally these wires will be different colors. If they're not, we'll just need to label them so we know which one's which. In the box with the Google Nest, they provide you with some stickers. You can put these stickers on each wire as you take it off, just so you remember where that wire went. I'm going to go ahead and put them on just to show you what they want you to do with them in case you do need them. I'm going to put this Y1 sticker on the yellow wire that I just took off. Then I'm going to do all the others accordingly as I take them off. I took my last wire off, and one thing you want to be careful with at this point is not letting these wires fall back into the wall. These wires are in there kind of tight and they're not really going to go anywhere, but if your wires were loose and they'd happen to fall back into the wall, you'd have a lot of trouble fishing those wires back out. I'm just going to attach a fishing line to one of these. I'm going to bend it into a hook on the end so I could pull that back out if I needed to. But I don't think I'm going to have a problem. Now that the wires are loose, we just need to take this old thermostat off the wall by taking out these 2 Phillips head screws. And once that last screw is out, you just pull the old thermostat away from the wall. There's this patch of unpainted space that was behind the old thermostat. So now it's time for the trim kit. At this point I can tell my wires aren't going to go anywhere, so I'm going to take this piece of fishing line off. And along with the trim kit, you need this base plate that comes in the box with your Nest thermostat. It goes in like that and kind of locks in so it doesn't move. And you want to put it on the wall with the level at the top. Pull your wires through the middle of the trim and the base plate, and then we're going to make sure this is level. Move the base plate around until the bubble in the level is centered, and then mark your screw holes. That level will help you make sure your thermostat is straight. The thermostat comes with 2 screws that you're going to use now to attach it to the wall. Unless you're going into wood or some harder material, these should do the job. Especially if you're screwing into drywall, this is normally all you'll need. It's best to tighten the screws by hand so that you don't crack the plastic on the trim plate or the base plate. If you do use a powered screwdriver to do this, be sure you're gentle with it, be easy with it. Put it on a low torque position if it's got one. And as you go, keep checking the built-in level to make sure you've got it all on straight. And as you can see, the connections on the base plate are labeled. Now we're going to connect the wires, and we're going to push them into their appropriate holes on the side of these connections. The wires are easy to connect. Just push the little tabs down and push the wire in. I just had the 4 wires to put into mine. Your system might require you to do all 6 or 5 of them, whatever it takes. When you're done attaching the wires, make sure all the extra wire is pushed back into this hole where it'll be out of the way of the back of the thermostat. Now we're ready to put on the actual face of the thermostat. It has pins on the back that go into the little holes here on each of these terminals. It is battery powered, so you have to remove this little tab so the batteries are activated. So we're going to go ahead and pull that out. And we're going to remove this plastic cover from the face of the thermostat. Line up the back of your thermostat with the base plate and press it on. Now we're going to go turn the power back on to the furnace. The power's back on, so now we go to the Google Home app and continue setup. It's looking for my thermostat. It says connected. Now we're going to test my system's power. Start test. And you have to tell it what your heat fuel source is. Heat delivery type is forced air, and the mode my thermostat should be in today is definitely heating. Your thermostat can now control heating and cooling. Now we're going to connect the thermostat to Wi-Fi and install critical updates and set up basic temperatures. And connecting to Wi-Fi is an option. That's what I'm going to do. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. But if you don't connect to Wi-Fi, you can't control your temperature remotely. And it's finishing up. It started downloading the updates. And by moving your finger up and down the right side of the thermostat on this little line, you can adjust the temperature and change different functions of the thermostat. So there you have it. It really wasn't very hard to install the Nest Thermostat. It's going to save me money on my heating bills, and I'm going to love the convenience of being able to control the temperature of my home from anywhere I'm at. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.